All right, and we are going to roll right into our next media availability. We are now joined by Kamui Kobayashi, who will be driving the number 50 next weekend, number 50 Toyota for 2311 Racing at COTA. Kamui, this is going to be your second NASCAR Cup Series start. Is there anything you can take from last season, your first start, that you can apply next week at COTA, and what are you most looking forward to racing at COTA next week?
Yep. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely excited on next week in Dakota. Obviously, you know, I think my first race ever in last year at Indy, I think I was a little bit surprised, which I think race went quite smooth. And obviously, I think I was dropped back quite early stage and I hadn't got any caution. And so it was actually quite difficult to back in the field. But yeah, I had a great fun, and I had this opportunity, thanks for the Movie 150 anniversary, this opportunity in the COTA. You know, I think I'm definitely looking forward next week. We had more preparation, and I have been racing COTA 5 times already in the Formula One, the WEC. So, you know, I think Indy was my first time ever racing there, but next week I have more experience, so I think definitely I'm looking forward to the COTA race.
Great. We will open it up to questions. We'll start here with Steven, then we'll go to Jacob and work our way around the room.
Steven Toronto, CBS Sports. Kobayashi-san, お久しぶりです。I guess this is the first time that a lot of us have spoken to you since Indianapolis last year. So I guess I was just wondering, what was the reaction back in Japan to you running a NASCAR race? And then what did you hear from people in terms of, you know, media, the public, other drivers you know in Super GT or anywhere else in Japan? What did they think of you coming to run NASCAR?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's NASCAR is obviously, we don't have any broadcast, for example. And last year, when I did the Indy race, I think first time, I think they broadcast, I think the used to be was like, last broadcast was like 2016 or something like that. Mm-hmm. So I think many people were watching NASCAR, and the people looks exciting, you know. And I think there were quite many comments about my social media, about NASCAR stuff. You know, I think we have not enough knowledge, and this time, I think used to be we are broadcasting in Japan, I think most race, but not this time. Again, I think we're going to have the live broadcast next week in COTA. So I think people are getting more knowledge about NASCAR, and definitely I think our racing between the NASCAR is huge different, but, you know, when I look at the NASCAR races, the base, the more the fun base, when you look at the event. So hopefully, I think people get more, you know, understanding of what NASCAR is, and myself also still learning how NASCAR regarding the old, you know, work being as a driver. And for sure, I think it's something we need to learn as well, what achievement NASCAR does. So yeah, looking for.
And then you mentioned having more experience in a Cup car now, this being your second start. What do you think you can take from Indianapolis? What do you know now to expect that maybe you didn't know when you made your first start at Indy last year?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I have been quite a while now how you handle the car and how the race goes. And, you know, I think after one race weekend, you learn everything what you need to do. Obviously, the last time when I raced there, I spent a lot of energy for nothing to do. But I think second time I had to say I can manage myself better. And I had to say I'm pretty well, you know, the preparation right now. And we spend quite a lot of time in the simulator. And so far looking good. So, yeah, we see.
ありがとうございました。
ありがとうございます。
Jacob Seelman, Race Face Digital, couple for you, Kamui, right here.
Yeah.
Was this always on the radar, even, you know, in the wake of your first start at Indy, or was this an opportunity to come back and do a second Cup race, something that materialized more recently because of the partnership with Mobil 1?
No, I mean, I think that was the Mobil 1 50th anniversary. That's coming up. Obviously, I think it's not like something, you know, consistent. We just happened one time. And I don't know the behind the reason. It's Toyota TLD to manage to find a partner. So thanks to this hard work for that.
And I know with the transactional sequential shifting, a lot of the things that we've added on the next-gen car brings it a little bit closer to, like, say, a GT car or some of the road course racing. What kind of a feel, if anything, did you find out of the Cup car that maybe compares to something you've driven before, if anything?
It's obviously it's not easy to find this. For me, I think the closest race car, it's supercar in Australia. I think that's the closest one I had to say, which I never driven. I've driven GT3, for example. It's way different compared to Cup car. It's the weight is the huge difference, and also in terms of the system, I mean, we have kind of ABS, we have traction control and this kind of car, but I mean, the Cup car had really nothing, even the no sensor about taking the data. So I think I had to say the technique that what we learn is quite way different, but still as a race, it's always great opportunity. And this time, when you look all the motorsports, it's we're gonna have like BOP, and it's not easy to as a driver to really perform everything. But in the NASCAR, I have to say the driver demand more than any other category. So that's why I'm really, happy to be here and challenging myself as well.
Any interest in ever trying an oval race, or stick to road courses?
I think I had to start at the track first.
Okay, we'll go next to Deb Williams. Up front here.
That's okay. Deb Williams, Auto Week. Kind of to follow up on that, do you foresee competing in any more road course races this year in NASCAR? And what do you like about competing in NASCAR?
It's totally different from European races and Japanese races as well. I mean, how you doing the old world event, I think that's a huge difference. And I think myself, of course, I think the one of the dream was to race NASCAR in a long time ago, because my first watch race was, I think, NASCAR, because it was when I was like 4 years old. It was an oval race. So that's why I was dreaming to be here. But obviously, when I look in more detail, I think generally we struggle in the motorsports to grow in the spectator or the big fan of the motorsports. I think Formula One is a bit different, but when you look at the championship, it's still struggling. But I think something what we need to learn, I think when we go to the European races, it's too much detail and too much it's something. It's difficult to understand it as fans. But when you look at NASCAR, I think more the simple, and I think engineers does really hard work. They do a lot of technology behind. But I think as motorsports, I think the fans can understand what regulation, what is, making different. At the end of the day, I think driver makes huge difference. I think that's how is important support from the fans to the driver, and more connectivity between the fan to the motorsports. So that's why I think I feel something we need to learn, and it's really to be here is something really honor to be here, because I can learn. My age is 36, 80 years old right now, but it's something I learn quite a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to Jim Utter and then Matt Weaver.
Jim Utter, motorsport.com. Sort of a follow-up to Jacob's question. Have you had a chance to look around this place much? And I just wondered what you thought of it. And could you ever envision yourself trying any kind of race vehicle around here?
Yeah. I mean, first time coming to Bristol, I have done the same here. The first time, I think, was like 4 or 5 years ago, just for fun. I didn't expect it's such big stadium. I mean, when I drove in the sim, it's just, that how bumpy is and how small it is. But when I look from the outside, it's not like race track. It's like something you can see the football or something like that. So it's a surprise for me. But as a driver, it's something I'm looking forward to race. But I have to say, I think Cup car is one of the best to race. I mean, if you bring our car here, I think probably it's too small, too fast. And I think something new to discover. But it's something for me I never experienced. I think my highest banking was Daytona, which is it's not. I think not as much as high here. I don't know, but but still, I think for spectator, it's something very interesting to watching. I think this kind of race. Yeah.
Matt Weaver, Sports Nut. How you mentioned earlier that NASCAR isn't quite as prevalent on television. It's not as easy to find. NASCAR has a long history in Japan, of course. They've gone there before. As NASCAR starts to explore more places they want to race across the world, is there an audience of fans there? Are there people who are passionate about NASCAR that could be something that they should look at having maybe a race in Japan someday again?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, I think that's the biggest opportunity. And what is a huge difference compared to any other motorsports category? It's a sound. NASCAR has amazing sound. And once you start up the engine, it's just incredible sound compared to any other kind of car. I mean, even the Formula One sounds, noisy, but I have to say it's not the greatest sound. I think one of the greatest sound right now, I have to say, the NASCAR, and especially when you're watching the wall or just close to the wall, is something you can't believe. I mean, compared to a long time ago, maybe, I'd say not impressed, but current, the age, when you look at the older sports car, it's hard to define this kind of noise. So that's why once brings to Japan, for example, I think people will impressed with the sound. So I think there's the biggest opportunity if you bring the NASCAR in Japan. I think there will be. I think many people are looking forward to watching this Cup car. Yeah.
Wei, thanks so much for coming in, and good luck next weekend at COTA.
All right. Thank you.